Hey everyone, and welcome to our very first live episode of Pastrami Paranormal, the new Pastrami Nation podcast where we discuss all things paranormal and supernatural. I'm your host, Kevin, and with me today, as usual, the other host of the show, we got Nolan Smith, co-founder and editor at Pastrami Nation.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, fantastic. Yourself?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. And then we also have wonderful reviewer and reporter for Pastrami Nation, Rebecca Benson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So this is fun. It's our first live recording. We're in front of the whole world right now. Yeah, right. Yay. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Hope you all are having a good day. And we're here to talk about some cool ghost stuff, paranormal stuff, but mainly we want to talk about ghost towns in this episode and we love to hear your guys' experiences and stuff. So if you have any, personal experiences at ghost towns or any kind of cool ghost stories, feel free to leave them in the comments. We'll read them, we'll talk about them, and then we'll go from there. So let's talk about some ghost towns, some of our favorite ones, and there's two specifically that we're going to talk about today. Yep. So if you guys want to go ahead and get started, Nolan, if you want to talk about the first one, whatever one you want to talk about.
Sure. I'll talk to the one that's closest to me geographically. So that would be Calico Ghost Town. Out in Yermo, right? Yeah, out in Yermo, California. And believe it or not, I had never been to Calico until just like maybe within the last year.
Really?
I grew up always hearing about it. Brothers went on field trips to there with cool stuff. Never went. Actually, my first time going was with Rebecca.
Nice.
And we had a blast. Calico is we went there and visited as just visiting Calico, but also as a family we went out there and we did their the ghost tour at night.
God, that must have been so much fun.
We just did that recently. It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
And Calico, if you've never been there, it has the old town feel. I highly recommend you do the ghost tour for it, but not because of ghost. So you learn about the historical facts of it, like how the creator of Knott's Berry Farm owned it, and he's one of the reasons that it turned into what it turned into. They have some ghost stories, but the ghost stories are all very what's the word? Manufactured.
Right.
Like it's always like a husband and wife came over here and they saw this. A kid came and they saw this, and you're like, how is it always a husband and wife? Are they that unlucky?
Of course, always
seen it, But ghost tour is fine, not for the ghost part. Just walk around there on your own and see it. And that was one of the most fun parts for me. And when we were out there was we were looking and seeing these buildings down the main street at night, and you can just it's eerie. It's absolutely eerie. Maybe it's because of ghosts, maybe it's because of cougars.
Combination of both.
Yeah, because we had heard like rocks tumbling behind us, but it was pitch black, and so I kind of leaned in. I was like, "What was that?"
You don't know if it's a ghost or a cougar, whatever it is. It's scary,
right? Or just the wind, and rock slides. I don't know.
Right, and out there very well could be ghosts, because Calico is known for silver and the big silver rush, if you will, until they realized that silver wasn't worth the rush.
Right.
But they had so many people out there, and they have to live and die somewhere. So some of the stories I told, you could tell there's a little bit of fact in them,
right?
And you can tell which ones. And one of them, so I'm gonna forget the name of the thing. It's that shack, the one we went to, the mystery shack. Okay, so there's a mystery shack in Calico, and it's built all wonky, where like you could place a billiard ball, and it'll roll down the opposite way than gravity has intended it to.
Right.
Well, that was great when we went as a family. We got one other family, we saw it, and during the day, and it was cool. But then when you hear that part integrated into a ghost story, you're like, no, you're just taking your own story and making it that. I see some comments. Hello, Rich Frank. Hello, Nina Frank. Hello, Brian, Cassie, and Nick Perez. Hello, everybody. thank you for joining us. And before I keep rattling on about Calico, if you have ghost experiences, please throw them in there. Let us know. Ghost experiences, ghost towns. We want to hear about it, and we'll talk about it right now live on the air. So back to Calico. What did you think about Calico?
I thought it was fun because
Agreed.
it's not advertised as anything scary. They even advertise, family friendly. So I had no problem taking, my daughter there. So and it was just fun to kind of walk around because we had seen it in the daytime. So it was kind of nice to see it from a different stance, a different viewpoint.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
It was cool. Kevin, have you ever been there?
Yeah, so I was so when I was I kind of grew up in the high desert as well. Not anymore obviously, but I went to middle school and beginning of high school there, and we took a couple field trips. I only went during the day, and it was always more of the educational side. So it was just like going to see the ghost town, going to check out where they did all the mining and stuff like that. Never got to do any of the cool ghost stuff, or I didn't personally have any experiences there that I can be like, that was crazy. But it did have this, just a really cool old timey feel to it, which I thought was really cool. I learned a lot. I thought it was really cool, and I really enjoyed it when I went. I mean, but this was, Jesus, I'm going to age myself, but it was at least 30 years ago. At least when I was, 25 to 30 years ago. I know. So 20. So yeah, I'm an old man, but anyways, it was a cool place. I remember the big letters, Calico, when you're driving past it or whatever, you can check it out. Yeah, still there, and the just the whole aura of it, and the whole fascination with ghost towns, and there being, kind of going back to what you said about how they're, they kind of just throw all these stories in there just to make it exciting and interesting, but I do feel especially towns like that, where big mining towns and stuff. I mean, you're talking about these people, their livelihoods were literally that was the passion to get rich and to be able to raise your family was so strong that, I mean, there's got to be something there. If you believe in that kind of stuff, there just has to be some sort of residual energy, or just some sort of lost souls, basically, who went there to make a living and ended up dying there, with not a whole lot. And I could imagine the emotions are high there and everything. So I could imagine it's probably a hotbed for a lot of good activity. I tried to find some stuff online, but I couldn't find any specific stories or anything, relating to Calico as far as pictures or even video or anything as much.
I can touch on a little bit on that because they did show us some photos and whatnot. Rich Frank commented about Calico has some ghost lights, and that's one
cool.
of the things. Of course, you hear the different mysterious lights that just kind of pop up around there, and apparently rangers have seen that as well, because it's a park, so rangers have seen that, and it's a thing. So they did show us a photo, and it was at the Mystery Shack, right? Yeah, the Mystery Shack, and they showed a photo of a guy because there's a chair where you sit down, and it's supposed to be built in a way that when you try to sit up, you can't.
Oh, gotcha.
You're off balance, but when he's finally getting up, there's a picture that shows a ray of light grabbing his arm.
What?
Helping him.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, and then they also talked about ghost children.
Ghost children. That's when I'm out.
Well, because of the schoolhouse, one of the stories is that if you sit on the front steps, you'll feel a shoulder or something, or you'll hear laughter and almost a recess, murmur around you.
That's cool. It's they're probably the least harm, least threatening ghosts that are around, but for some reason the idea of a little child ghost just laughing, just not cool, man. It gives me chills.
We did have my daughter sit on the stairs just to see.
Right. And it is such a cool building to see. You have to. And there's a picture with both Rebecca and her daughter sitting at the steps of this amazing place. I searched that picture over and over. There was no ghost, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean they weren't present. That just means that we didn't see them there. But I think there has to be stories there. And if anyone's been to Calico, let us know. What are your stories from there? Did a cougar come out and attack you? You could tell us that too. It's not paranormal, but I kind of want to know if you survived and what happened. But let us know your ghost stories for it, because it is, like Kevin said, he grew up in the high desert. It's just like I did. Rebecca's not far from him there. Calico Ghost Town is like one of the places in Southern California you
It
would
is.
think of ghosts.
Yeah, you have to, and it's really well, obviously like the owner of Not Spot It. So he was very careful to like make sure it stayed, obviously profitable because they want to make their money, but they also made sure that a lot of the buildings remained, good. They refurbished it a lot. And I've been reading a lot about like how they went through a lot of refurbishments and stuff like that. So it's really well taken care of, really cool place to check out. So if y'all are in the high desert, definitely check it out.
Speaking of which, we have one kind of in our backyard too. I know we weren't really planning on talking about it, but I got to just slide it in there. But we have a mine. And then we have our miner house. So it's a trailhead, and you go up on an incline to get to, and it's an actual mine. What's left over is up against the mountainside, or you can go down into the little gulch, and it's old Vincent cabin, and it's still standing today. Like, people don't touch it. So I can only imagine what goes on there. And it looks pretty dilapidated.
And you've been there.
Mm-hmm.
See, and this is, we tried to go, we tried to reach this place maybe a few weeks ago, but the snow stops it, because you try to go up the mountainside and you have just like people being snow players and blocking everything. But it's one of the places I absolutely, I'm dying to go to, because there has to be some kind of activity there for something to have been standing that long. I mean, it's an old mine shaft. Like that's awesome. So that's up in the mountains, and not far from Victorville.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was having some technical difficulties on my end. I do apologize.
No worries.
Which place were you guys talking about?
Vincent Gulch. So you can go to the mine.
Okay.
Vincent cabin.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Old cabin that's still standing, and that makes you wonder too. Like, how is it still standing and not like destroyed by vandals or whatnot? Like, what's protecting it? Because as we know, people can be pretty disrespectful. For that to be standing this long, like, it has to have some history behind it. So
it's all weather.
See,
that's really cool. Yeah, I actually, before we get into our other big one that we want to talk about, there's one that I know of up in like Seattle area. It's called Monte Cristo, and it's like this really, really cool. So you go on this really cool hike. It's a really beautiful hike, and then your main destination is this place called Glacier Basin, which is just this beautiful pasture, just like. It's just really pretty up there. And anyways, on the way up, you'll run into this ghost town called Monte Cristo. Really tiny place. There's probably like, I'd say like 3 or 4 buildings. It's not very big, but it's like they have like the schoolhouse, like a really old schoolhouse, a really old like a house, just like some really, really cool stuff. It's just really neat to go there because you're so secluded and like nobody else is there. So it's like when me and my buddy used to go, we just went there and just hung out there for the day and then went up, did the hike and everything. But a really cool place, really well taken care of too for being kind of in the middle of nowhere. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's somewhere I would want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what you said. It's on the way to another beautiful place you're going to, so it's perfect. Like, why wouldn't you want to visit this part and then go up and see even more, of the beautiful land? So
yeah, it's beautiful. It's great. So it's one of those really cool places. It's probably like it's a little bit outside Seattle. It's probably between like Seattle and Everett, where I used to live. So it's a nice area, really pretty, but definitely. Nothing really crazy there. We experienced some other stuff there, but that's a whole different story that we'll talk about on another podcast. It has to do with lights in the sky. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's another paranormal one, but it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. But let's talk about the other main one that both of us have also been to, which is just one of the coolest places I've ever been, which is Bodie, up in forget, it's like around Mammoth area. I know that, but I'm not exactly sure the exact town of it.
Yeah, all the way up through 95, and
yep.
Again, a place that I've heard of but had never been to, and I actually went first time with Rebecca, and she had been there before, right? No, you hadn't.
No, that's time.
Right. No, and we went and experienced this.
Gotcha.
When we went, I mean, the weather
was just the two of us,
and the weather was perfect because it was so overcast.
Dreary.
It added to the atmosphere. So we do have some things to talk about for Bodie. So I mean, first of all, you're taking a dirt road all the way in.
Right.
Surprise. And when you get
Yep.
there, you
All the way.
walk into the town, and once we walked into the town, I got hit, and I know Rebecca did too, with this eerie vibe.
Oppressive.
Yeah, and it felt really like just ugly.
Mhm.
And I actually pulled out my phone and I was videoing it because I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like it feels really weird here. And Bodie, to me, I mean, I haven't seen very many ghost towns in my life, but Bodie is one of the most interesting and amazing places I've been to because of the history there and because what happened. So Bodie, it's the town, taken over by sin.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the history of it. Like, lawlessness and sin ran rampant. And now this is what remains. And it really makes you think like, like what's still here? And I know
Right.
Rebecca has some impressions about what she saw over there as well.
Right. And it was even scarier because we actually went twice. And so on the second trip, I had, my daughter with us. So it was the three of us. So we were viewing, it was a larger building that still housed the blacksmith and explosive making. And we were standing there and I was like, oh, I don't feel comfortable here. Like something bad happened. And sure enough, Nolan said, oh yeah, we need to leave because we didn't want that to impress, my daughter because we were just so overcome with like, what in the world? Like you almost expected something to come out at you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not something you can, replicate that vibe, that feeling you get. And it hit like a ton of bricks. And we walked the whole ghost town, between our visit the first time and then going back with her daughter. We saw the entire thing and wow, like the vibes you get out of there. Like something's there. And I also just want to say real quick, I see Josh Hunt says, can we ask questions? Yes, absolutely. Ask away. Ask any questions and we will try our best to answer them. Kevin, I know you have your experience over at Bodie.
Yeah, I freaking love Bodie. Like I felt the same thing kind of going into it. It was my first time. The first time I went was probably actually the first and probably only time I went was about not long before he moved up to Portland. So I'd say about 6-7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. Went there with my wife and my family and everything. And it was a really cool place. Like so many of those buildings were super cool, like to look into, like they did all have that really old, like that scary vibe, like something dark felt like it was there. You know what I mean? Like you didn't want to stay there for very long, but you wanted to check out the town. So like, it was this weird kind of thing. And, what's that?
You kind of don't want to leave, but you do.
Yeah, exactly. And it like had this really cool vibe. I mean, I thought it was kind of a cooler vibe because, I was reading so many of like the stories about people who have gone there, and one of the main superstitions of that place is you don't want to take anything from it. So you don't want to take anything from a rock to, there are stories of people who took like a piece of piece of wood off of one of the buildings and came back and were desperate to give it back because nothing but bad luck since they left. People took rocks, people, all these. What's that?
I saw that over there too. I saw a mom telling her kids, like, throw those back. Like, we can't take them. And I wonder too, like, why? Like they're rocks. And then of course, I mean, it's protected land. Like they shouldn't be taking things. Right. But I didn't know about that part. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a superstition that goes back. And gosh, there was this one place, like I told you guys this story, but with Dottie's Parlor, which is specifically one of the buildings there. There's this like really, really old random antique couch. I know it sounds super weird, but like I instantly, like there's something that I gravitated towards that couch. Like I needed that couch. It was really old. Like it hadn't been touched in who knows how, like it was, decades, it was just really old and rustic. And like, you can totally, like, if you close your eyes, you can see like a really like creepy, like ghosts standing behind it or like sitting, you know what I mean? It had that really cool kind of witchy vibe almost to it. But like the next day we went to the street fair in Mammoth, and I found this photographer who was taking pictures of Bodhi, and he had a picture of that couch. It was all in black and white, like really well shot. I had to buy it. Like it was like one of those things, like it just gravitated me towards it and I had to buy it. And that place is full of things like that though. Like it just like it's almost hypnotic in a weird way, because if you look, like I said, if you look inside the buildings, there's all this just it's yeah, it is stuff left over from another time. So that's one fascinating aspect of it, but it just has this energy to it. You know what I mean? Like, and again, it goes into the whole, most ghost towns were mining towns, especially in the mountains and stuff. And whole families went there to get fortunes, and some of them were successful, some of them weren't. And there's just all that, stuff there. So I wouldn't doubt if something's there. It's scary.
Oh, I know something's there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, something is there. And Josh
the arrested decay part of it, just kind of do that.
Well, yeah. I think it was the mortuary or the one who had the little kid caskets. That was one of the eeriest things to see when you look in the window and you see at the morgue. Yeah, you see the little casket, and you're like, oh, geez. And the schoolhouse with the dolls laying there and the books opened and the date written on the whiteboard. It was it was surreal. So I do see we have a question from Josh Hunt. Did you get a UFO vibe or something else? I'm doing a project on mining towns.
That's awesome, Josh.
Because we were over by that whole blacksmith area, and I know we went a little bit further, and you just were overcome with something else too.
Right, and to me, it definitely isn't like a UFO vibe. To me, it's this is it's a ghost vibe. It's something left there, and I mean, it can be, like I said, this whole town was overrun by sin. So it could be people stuck there, and they're still doing their day-to-day thing, but they're not living. But we also got some very, evil vibes. Let's see. Oh wait, Josh Hunt put not paranormal, but the buildings left behind. I didn't get any kind of UFO vibe out of it. How about you guys? Out of Bodhi? Any kind of UFO vibes?
Well, I mean, but, the thing is, like, I not particularly UFO, but this kind of phenomenon kind of comes in waves. So you're going to see, a lot of times people will, report like, they see a UFO, and then the next night they're seeing ghosts all of a sudden, and then the next night they're seeing, just all these random things. So they all kind of seem to coincide with each other. But I specifically didn't get any UFO vibes, particularly from Bodhi, like as far as, nothing crazy. But again, who knows what this phenomena is? I mean, if it's, evil spirits, but it's like, I mean, I could get into a whole conspiracy bubble here, but we're not going to. That's another episode altogether. Because it's just a rabbit hole. You get into one, then you're into the other one.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's some kind of sightings out there, because it's a very secluded area.
That's where I was gonna go.
Yeah, and like if it snows out there, like you're stuck. Like that's it.
They'll get 20 feet of snow. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and you're just stuck there. So it wouldn't surprise me if things were, over there, or also being so secluded and out in almost the middle of nowhere, you're going to see those lights a lot more clear than you would say in the city, because out there you don't have very many cities around you. You have like Bridgeport, and everything's super tiny. So
especially even in like the somewhat renovated buildings that like the park rangers would have to stay in, that they were once original buildings.
But they have like some modern touches to them because that's where they live. But again, like what happens there at dark, when it's all, closed up, and UFOs don't have to go in through the front gates. So
right.
UFOs could come in from anywhere. So like it's one of those things, who knows? And it's so fascinating to think about those kind of things and to wonder, obviously, what else is out there. I mean, who knows? The Bodhi, it's a really cool place, but it's also like you said, it's got this evil vibe that,
It does, but I'm not gonna lie, I would love to go back.
It's beautiful. It is. The buildings are amazing. Like the buildings are incredibly well taken care of too, and they're really, really pretty. Like it's ghost towns are obviously one of the only places you can go to now and actually live in history for a while, like kind of get a vibe of how people lived a little bit. So
Right. And if anybody's been to Bodie, leave your comments. Let us know what you thought about it. Did you have any kind of vibes or experiences? Did you see something? Did you hear something? Did you hear a little kid laughing, a little ghost kid laughing? Yeah, that was just Kevin. Yeah.
right.
Let us know. And if there's any other ghost towns, in your area, because, like we're in California and, Kevin's up there in Oregon.
Yeah.
But where
Like
else?
Portland, yeah, I
But
would
what-
love to find some up here, definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think we need to do a Pastrami Nation paranormal road trip.
Oh.
We hit up ghost towns.
Mhm.
We could do like battlefields from like, Gettysburg and all that stuff too. And
Done
like,
that. Mhm.
have you? See, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, like I would love to do that sometime. I think that would be so much fun, like just to check it out. And
There's one that it's not a ghost town, but it's a haunted place in Utah that we wanted to go to. It was the hike, and we had looked at it, and it was on the way to Salt Lake City, which we didn't go that way.
Mhm.
But so if you're driving up to Salt Lake City, there's this hike up by I want to say like it's like a waterfall and whatnot, and there's so much paranormal activity there because the stories of
Kelly Plantation.
super evil things happening there, people plunging to their death, climbing that waterfall. It's rated one of the most haunted places in the United States.
Mhm.
And there's been like I read some stories about it, and there talks about like a guy who like imprisoned so many souls or whatnot and something, and then the cross he put him in broke, and you still see pieces of the cross there. So there's so much history there. I've never done that one, but I would like to do it.
Yeah. So there are a couple places. Well, first, I actually want to address some of these comments, not in a bad way at all. But Rich, I'm kind of with you on that one. Like, it's hard to say what UFOs are. Like, it could be a totally man-made phenomenon. We just don't know what they are, So it's like when I say UFO, like it doesn't necessarily mean alien. It's just like unidentified flying object, something we don't know what it is. So if it's like human or whatnot, it'd be that's a whole again an episode we'll do later on UFOs and aerial phenomena and things like that. But it's a fascinating subject that I love to delve deeper into and talk about. But I'm kind of with you, with you, Rich. It's just like it's who knows? It could be man-made. Oak Alley Plantation. Don't know much about it, but definitely look it up.
Give us some info on that. We want to know.
Yeah. And Brian Lestat is going to be in Utah for 2 weeks. Yeah, he is. Brian Lestat actually works with me, so he's going to be gone for 2 weeks. I want to give him a shout out because he's all right. He's all right. If you did go on said road trip, would you bring any equipment? Yes, we would bring some equipment. I think we have our recorders. The H6. I've been dying to use it on.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Like it's funny. I watch all these like ghost shows and everything, and I've been watching. There's a one ghost show that I love on. It's on Amazon Prime. I posted about it the other day, but it's the BuzzFeed Unsolved, where they have a paranormal one and a true crime one. But the paranormal one is so much fun, but they're always taking their equipment to these different sites, and they always have the H6. And I'm like, I need to use it to ghost hunt.
You have the H6, yes.
Yeah, man. I think we should do it. I think that would be so much fun.
So I'm ready.
Dude, we got it, man. We got this covered. We need to next year sometime this is going to happen. Spirit box would be amazing too, like a thermal lens. Yeah. Very amateur ghost hunters here, but it is something that we're all really passionate about and we're learning about constantly. I've been you can say the legitimacy of as much as you want about these people, but like things like ghost hunters and stuff, like that stuff fascinates me. It interests me. I've been watching it for a long time, and it's reality TV, so who knows what's true and what's not. But some of their methods are good, their techniques are good, and I'm constantly learning from people like that. And it is something that I would love to do, and I think we need to do it, like
Oh
seriously.
yeah.
I think it'd be a really cool one, and we saw it from afar a few months ago, and that's Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Um,
yes.
yeah.
Ooh.
Alcatraz. I mean, just peering up from where we were, like you're like, wow,
Hmm.
like some stuff went on in there,
Yeah.
and
Well,
of
even
course the stories. Whew.
yeah, Alcatraz would be do they still do like the sleepover things where you can stay in there for the night?
I'm not sure what the whole COVID thing, but now thanks to things are starting to open back up. I know that it was still active for people to visit before COVID.
Right.
So, I think that
Yeah.
would be super cool, but you'd have to be prepared for that vibe to just hit you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even the place that we went to, when you guys were up here visiting the Pittock Mansion, when you went on that hike up there in that
Oh
big
yeah.
mansion,
Mhm.
that place is like super haunted, like supposedly. Like we've taken a tour in it before, and you get
Yeah.
kind of smacked with all this, like the second story, you get smacked with all this weird energy, and like it's like almost suffocating. And there's some houses in Astoria, some really big, nice mansions over in Astoria that we checked out, and you could take tours in those, and super like again the same kind of energy, that same kind of feel to it. And Brian, are you talking about the one in Salem, the state mental hospital? They have catacombs there. I didn't know they had catacombs there, but
Ooh,
yeah, we do have an asylum here. So we have the mental hospital where they filmed One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is
Oh,
actually over here in Salem.
wow.
I know I've heard a lot of stories about that place. That place I've been wanting to check out. And I would argue that a spirit box is purely paranormal. Yeah, I think it is purely paranormal. Like there is no way to fake it. And it's I've always wanted to play with one, check it out, see what I could find. But it's one of those things that I would love to kind of dig into more and learn more about, and possibly get one day, and we can play with them.
Ooh, Rich Frank put a comment, and Rich, I want to. I think you're talking about in the high desert, the hospital on the old army base. I'm sure that is spooky.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
so I have heard. I used to work at a school that was based right outside the old. It's George, right? George Air Force Base,
mhm.
and it's out there, borderline Victorville and Adelanto.
Mhm.
I worked at I was at a charter school, and we took over an old campus, and yeah, you go deep into there, and there was a hospital. There was, living quarters, but now they're destroyed. Like trees are growing sideways through the houses, and
Mhm.
it's the most eeriest places that I've been in the desert. Actually, I have a story on that. So
Yeah.
everyone's gonna love this one. So I used to work at a school out there, and me and my boss were staying late because we were working on a report that was due. No, grant. We're working on a grant that was due, and um, we both parked in the back part, so we had to walk like further in and then behind the
Right.
building, park back there. So we were going back there, and you just hear laughter. And
What?
it sounded like a bunch of little kids
What?
laughing, and behind there was it was like an old abandoned park, and that's she freaked out. My boss freaked out absolutely. I was just more like in shock, like we both heard this. It wasn't just like the wind. It was little kids laughing. Um,
Wow.
so we made sure all the doors were locked in the school, and we got the heck out of there. And it wasn't even super late either. It was probably like 8 o'clock at night or so. But it was definitely dark, and we were
Mhm.
utterly freaked out.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and but those kind of things happen over at the air base. It's not an active military base anymore, but they sure guard it like it is.
Right.
So it makes you wonder what's really going on. But there's also lifetimes left over there, especially the hospital. The hospital, the old movie theater, like they just give you chills. Oh, I got to take you over there. Like we got to go look.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, yeah, there's a bunch of cool places, like little places like that I visited over the years. If I could remember where half of them were, I don't know. But like in California, you just kind of get into trouble and check out those places and stuff. And they're a lot of fun and kind of spooky. And, I love doing that kind of stuff. But So Serena left a comment. Oak Ellie is in New Orleans. My friends actually planned the tour, so I didn't know the history, but looked it up afterwards because I was certain it was haunted. Nice. It has a ton of history, and if you road trip, I would recommend going there. It has a crazy energy, especially upstairs. And the slave quarters. Yeah, see that really like that's terrifying to me because again, all that energy, all of that just horrible, like, horrendous activities that happen there, would definitely, have that kind of energy.
She nailed
It actually,
a comment afterwards. She says, "It was like walking through a cloud, then the
yeah.
feeling would vanish." That is spot on to like when I have felt things around or in front of me or whatnot. It's literally like you're walking through this very cold cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes away. So
Yeah.
I'm not the only one that felt that sensation.
No,
Right.
it's crazy. Yeah, definitely.
We had our
What's
own
that?
eeriness with the clouds and mist, and it was just strange. It was
Absolutely.
offset. Oh man.
Yeah, because again, like you don't out here up in the mountains and whatnot, like you don't know what goes on in the wilderness, and how many hikers make it back, and this and that, and what's out there. I always look around and like to say it's Bigfoot, but there could be a lot of souls left behind in there.
Yes.
Trying to do the
Big
Pacific Crest
hiking,
Trail.
yeah.
And, yeah.
It
And that's
very
the
much
thing, like-
like what Stephen King described in Pet Sematary with just the tendrils that just
Mhm.
kind of sneaked in there.
Oof. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, the definitely want to go through the South and check out some of the like the battlefields and the plantations and like the like Savannah, Georgia to me is like one of my ultimate destinations because of the history and because of it's supposedly one of the most haunted cities. You got all these really old, you have everything kind of combined into one. You have the plantations, you have the, all of it in one. And so I will make it to Savannah, Georgia someday. We will go to Savannah, Georgia. We will make it there. That'll be so much fun. But even in the high desert, like I remember when I was a kid, like, we'd go out like exploring, like, get lost in the desert for the day. But you would find like you'd come across like Indian burial grounds and like all kinds of stuff out there, and it was just like, who knows what kind of restless spirits are out there, desert, woods, wherever. Like, it's like, yeah, like it was crazy. Like me and my friends would have sleepovers, and for some reason we'd go out into the middle of the desert at like midnight because we were bored. Like, let's just go look, take some flashlights, go out there and, find whatever we can, you know what I mean? Like, it's terrifying. I don't know why we did it. Looking back at it, I'm like,
I'm with you on that. Me
Yeah.
and my brother Jason, other co-founder of Pastrami Nation,
Mhm.
we would go into the middle of the desert purposely during the day and at night.
Yeah.
But we would go looking for reptiles, lizards, not to
that's
take
cool.
action, just to take pictures. And one
Right.
time we found a human bone, like the arm,
Ooh.
picked clean. So I mean, those souls have got to be wandering around somewhere too. We saw that.
Mhm.
We're like, nope, we're not going to be coyote food.
Yeah. The desert, man.
Too.
Oh yeah, so Leanne put about the airbase. I went out to the airbase a couple years ago during the day and definitely felt creeped out, like something was watching me. Absolutely, Leanne. That's something that, like when I worked out there, like the school was like you pass a Rubbermaid or whatever building it was, and then you get to the school. That's as far as I would want to go. And then I would turn back and go back to the signal because it always felt eerie and creepy. And if you look at the corridors, the barracks, the living barracks and whatnot, something went wrong there. And whenever we had a new employee, I'd be like, "Oh, you don't know the story of George Air Force Base?" I'd make up some cockamamie story and just make it sound Resident Evil like and everything. But something happened there for sure. And there's still something there, and not all of it's quite good. So
Right. No, absolutely. Places are fun to go to, man. Like I said, Pastrami Nation road trip next year.
yep. All right, we'll make it happen. Yeah.
Paranormal. It'll be fun, man. It'll be fun. But yeah, so hopefully we can discover some really, really cool places. Anyone watching or whatever, if you guys have any recommendations, even after tonight's live, please comment, message, let us know what's up. Let us know some places we can check out. they're located specifically like in Southern California. So if you guys have any recommendations for down there, let them know. I'm up in Portland, Oregon. So if y'all can, know of any places or anything that I should check out, please let me know. I would love to go check them out. There are a lot of cool places I want to check out already. Like there's like the Shanghai tunnels in Portland. Those would be cool to check out. There's a bunch of other places too. And so yeah, we're always willing to check all these cool places out, do some ghost hunts. I'm excited now. Let's do this.
I see we got a comment from Brian about he's working on getting you the info on the UFO guest. So that way we can
oh yeah,
for a podcast, on UFOs. So absolutely, we're going to dive more into the world of paranormal. We're going to talk UFOs, aliens. We're going to talk Bigfoot because that's one of my favorite parts of it. But we wanted, and also leave comments. Let us know what aspects of the paranormal would you want us to talk about, so that way you can be part of the conversation as well, because I think that's really what's made this episode, is everybody telling their experiences and their stories, and I think it's just fantastic to hear it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it. I love hearing I love listening to people talk about their stories. I'm a huge, I love reading other people's stories, so please leave more stories.
But not about ghost kids laughing.
Not about ghost kids laughing. Actually, you know what? But the thing is, I love being scared. So like, I'm down with like reading the scariest stories and experiencing some of the most scariest places, because it's kind of like, that's the whole fun of it to me. You have to get scared. If you don't get scared, then kind of like, what's the point for me? So
there you go. Yeah. Good way to look at it.
Yep. But yeah, so I think that's it for today. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for commenting, and keep commenting even when it's not live. We're still going to check all the comments that pop up, but we appreciate you tuning in live and chatting with us about this. And next time we have another Pastrami Paranormal live, we hope you join us again, because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, I would like to say, if you're brand new to Pastrami Nation, never seen or heard us before, visit pastramination.com. We have news, reviews, and more up on there. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest, where we continue to run wild.
Yes, we do.
Will always amaze me, but we do. So go pin us on Pinterest or whatever you call it. Follow, I don't know, that stuff. But yeah, make sure you check us out, pastramination.com. And as always, we do appreciate everybody tuning in.
Will do.
All right. Well, let's see. And then somebody put "Go where they film The Shining." Yes, that sounds great.
Oh yeah. So there's of course, the Stanley, which I've been to. That's a whole other cool episode we can do.
That's right. You do have to talk about it one
day. Yeah, but the exterior where they shot it is actually up here in Oregon too, where they shot the outside of the overlook. That'd be a cool place to check out. We'll definitely talk more about those places later.
Been holding out on us.
All right, everybody. Well, you have a good night, and thank you. Take care.
See you guys.